Yes, hello, welcome to 100% Footy. Great to have you with us. You are watching us live right here on the Nine Network, and plenty to get through tonight. As mentioned, superstar Zac Lomax is in the house. Hello, Zac.
Hey, how are you, bro?
Very good. Bit to chat about with you tonight, mate. A bit of a hole for your side to dig themselves out of, but there is a bit of sunshine on the horizon. Hello, Danny Widler.
James, hello.
You good?
As well as I can be.
You've been busy. Cameron Smith.
G'day, Brace. How are you?
Well, there in the Queensland studios.
Beautiful up here, mate. Nice and sunny today.
Excellent. What about the top dog? Spring in the step. Still 1, 2, 3, 4 wins from 4 games.
James Bracey.
Look at him go like the Cheshire Cat. I love it. All right, what did we learn from the weekend it was? I'm going first tonight. Manly. Yesterday against Parramatta. In amongst it all, one of the things, you've got to be brave to do this. At a Seagulls game, don the red and black and walk along the hill.
Is that you?
It's not me. I got sent this by our intrepid reporter, Zac Bailey, a diehard Manly fan, but well done, young man. And you just keep it going, buddy. Keep it going in enemy territory. Did you get anything thrown
Half the
at
crowd
you?
was so young they wouldn't know who Nelson was.
Hey. See, told you he's got a spring in his step. All right, Cam, what did you learn from the weekend it was?
Yeah, well, I had the former PM, John Howard, visiting the Dragons shed after their, well, what many would thought was an upset victory against the Melbourne Storm. The Dragons actually played exceptionally well. There he is. He's given the boys a bit of a fist pump and a high five and a couple of shaking hands. And I thought we might just delve back into a bit of history of prime ministers or former prime ministers taking part in other sporting occasions and just have a look at Johnny Howard here. Oh, whoopsie, Dave just got caught in the hand. Yeah, not his best effort. That one's maybe a little bit better.
ScoMo.
Here's ScoMo. What's happening there? Just took a kid out.
Yep.
Anyway, gives him a little pat on the back. And Boris Johnson, former PM of the UK. Jeez, come on, Boris, what's happening?
Great.
Politics and sport, boys. Politics and sport. They don't mix, do they?
They don't. And you're bang on.
At all.
Bang on with that one. Gus, what about you?
Still watching the teams that played in Vegas. Who would have thought after round 1 in Vegas, the best team over there, the Panthers, who won, would be 1-3, and the Warriors, who had a big loss over there in Vegas, are now 3-1. The other two teams have been a little bit up and down, 2-2. Not saying Vegas is the thing, but we saw how the teams performed last year that went to Vegas, just keeping an eye on how they're progressing this year. Big turnaround for Panthers and Warriors after the Vegas trip.
Funny game, Gus.
Funny game, rugby league.
Is it ever? Danny.
Funny place, Vegas. I'll tell you what was funny tonight, Maths, Married at First Sight. How good was it? Just outstanding. He's my hero, that bloke.
Can't get enough of it. No idea who you're talking about. Danny, for you?
Well, I learned a lot about the Seagulls, James, and I think we'll be talking a little bit about that shortly.
Absolutely. All right, let's get straight into it, shall we? Because this time last week, DCE set the rugby league world alight with the announcement that at season's end, he would be heading away from the Manly Seagulls. Would it be into retirement? Would it be to another club? We're still none the wiser there, but there has been a lot that's played out over the past 8 days.
Will he play on? Will he retire? Or will he do the unthinkable and move to another club? The future of Daly Cherry-Evans has been one of league's biggest talking points.
The Manly skipper has decided he will not be playing at Manly, but here's the twist. Cherry-Evans is going to make himself available to potentially join another club.
I felt like it was best after yesterday's game to come out and just openly say no more footy at Manly beyond this year.
This is big. Now we've heard from the hierarchy at the Manly Seagulls live on air saying they're going to counter this with a 2-year offer to DCE. So this is far from over by the sounds of it.
Would you accept that if that is the case?
Look, respectfully, no.
I just want to clarify this point. There's no animosity between Daly and the club. There's no problem with Daly and me. There's no problem with Daly and the coach. If Daly does play in the NRL, we want him to play with the Manly Seagulls.
I think there's already been a deal done. I don't think he's signed, but I reckon he's agreed to terms. What's the club you played for?
Or wouldn't he? They've got plenty of space, put it that way.
I get the feeling that he's well and truly playing into next season, and he'll be in Sydney somewhere.
There was a lot of talk about how the crowd were going to react. Were you nervous?
I was definitely a bit more nervous. It's hard to separate the personal side of it and your ego, because this week took a fair bit of a hit with the people sort of trying to run a bit of a smear campaign against me.
Support inside. Give it to DCE. He doesn't need to.
Where do you think that smear campaign is coming from?
I know who it's coming from, and it's not appropriate to talk about it. Well, obviously there was a fair bit spoken after the announcement was made on Monday night. I feel like it could have ended pretty quickly early in the week, but it obviously didn't. My two biggest worries were how it affected the team. And yeah, the reception, definitely I was a bit nervous, but I was a little bit worried it wasn't going to go that way based on what was being put in the media, but I reckon they saw right through it and made me so proud.
Do you think the media was being fed stuff to Ross?
Yeah.
Well, he was in form on this very set last Monday night. Daly Cherry-Evans in form at the post-match media conference at Brookie yesterday. Denny, this has got Scuttle written all over it, this story. Is there and has there been a smear campaign out there targeting Daly Cherry-Evans?
Well, I have to agree with Daly Cherry-Evans. There has been a smear campaign. I'm not going to sit here and name who has been responsible for that because I have not been getting fed the information by the person or people who are trying to run a smear campaign against Daly. But there is no question in my mind that that is exactly what is going on. Now, what a smear campaign is feeding false information to the media. I'm not Media Watch. I'm not going to criticise other journos. That's not my job. And the journos reporting this are doing it in good faith, and they're obviously respected and senior journalists who are doing their job best to their capabilities. Basically, they're doing their best. Now, look, am I going to say that the information that I'm being given is right? Yes, I am. I can tell you there has never been an offer. There was no offer to Daly Cherry-Evans prior to the day after he made his appearance on this show. There was a verbal promise to him on a show, but Daly Cherry-Evans was not given an offer. That's after months where he could have been given an offer by the Manly club. There was no offer to him whatsoever. He was waiting for an offer, I can promise you that. He was hoping to get an offer, but that didn't come. In December, he made up his mind that he was going to have to move on. Still no offer. Manly could have come to him at any time. There was no request from Daly Cherry-Evans for a 2-year deal. That's been said in the media. Again, fed to journalists. I'm not blaming the media for this. I'm blaming the people or one person who has been feeding the media misinformation. There was no request for 2 years. There was a figure of $1.1 million put forward, saying that Daly Cherry-Evans was after that per year. Rubbish. That's a figment of somebody's imagination. I think it might have been a figment of somebody at the Manly club's imagination, fearing that a club may want to offer Daly that amount of money, and that club may have been the Roosters. They were worried about perception if the Roosters came in and made an offer of $1.1 million. So absolutely no truth to that as well. And look, I'm willing to be wrong on this. I'm willing to be corrected on this. And if Manly have emails saying that this information is wrong, show them to me. I'd like to see those emails, and I'd be happy to run them. I'd be happy to run them in my column, run them on the show, run them on the news. Show us emails that say that this is wrong, because everything has been documented. This whole situation has been documented by both parties. So if there's anything that I'm saying is incorrect, I'm happy to be wrong on that, and I'm happy for Manly to show us that information, because Daly Cherry-Evans has had his reputation smeared. He's been painted as greedy. He's been painted by some people as disloyal, and he is neither of those things. I know in the past he had some issues, but I'm talking about the Daly Cherry-Evans of today. From all the information I can get, and I'm getting information that I believe is correct, just like those other journos were getting information. The information that I'm getting, I'm confident in, and I think that there has been a strong smear campaign run against Manly captain Daly Cherry-Evans, and my concern is, how does this go on at Manly now? How does Daly go on? Yeah. He's a strong character. What do the owners of the Manly club, a privately owned club, what do they think of their club right now? And the people who have been responsible for this entire, not schmozzle, but just this entire campaign that's been run against him.
It's been a week for the rugby league journalism world as well, hasn't it? Clearly, Denny. Zac, I'd love to get you in on this. It was April last year, so we're talking about almost 12 months ago, that you made the decision to leave the Dragons, go to the Parramatta Eels. A decision of that magnitude, when it's considering something that isn't until the next season. How did it go down for you? How did you handle it personally? What toll did it take on you? Because there was a lot of noise at that time too.
Yeah, I think, Brace, it was in a similar, I guess, a similar concept. But you know, I just tried to make the decision as early as I could in the piece, and for me, I don't think it's going to be too similar to Ches. Obviously, Ches is a professional, Brace, and you know, he's been around the game for a number of years now, and you know, he knows what it takes to get his troops going week in, week out. But I'm sure there'll be a decision that's made for him, and as he sort of showed on the weekend, mate, it's not going to affect him or his teammates too much, I don't think. I'd imagine before and until he signs a deal, I'd imagine it's probably going to dominate the headlines until then. But mate, DCE is a champion, he's a professional, and I'm sure he's just going to keep continuing to get his job done week in, week out.
Some would say a decision like this and I guess all the circus that comes with it could derail a season. Do you believe that to be the case?
Not so much for me, mate. And as I said, Ches is, mate, he's a professional, and I guess the team that he's in, especially being Manly, you know, there's so many good leaders there, and the leadership group that they've got amongst that team, I think, you know, they'll be pretty good at getting that stuff sort of on the back burner pretty quick. So, and obviously Ches, he runs that. So for me, mate, it form didn't show over the weekend. I mean, it obviously was against us, mate, but which wasn't ideal. But I don't think it's going to affect them guys too much.
Well, Brace, the situation that Manly find themselves in, like, I don't think it's going to have an effect on their footy club, because the only person that it can have an effect on is DCE. He's already come out and told the club that he won't be playing there next year. All of his teammates, his current teammates, they know he won't be playing at Manly with them next year. So all they have to do is go out and do their job and play football and try and win games for the Manly Sea Eagles. So, you know, the longer this goes on and there's things said in the media, through the paper, or on TV, like we're talking about, you know, Daly at the moment right now, the only person that needs to worry about themselves and all of this news not affecting them is Daly. And as Zac just mentioned, you know, he's an experienced player. He's played well over 300 matches. He's been around the game a long time, and he's had, you know, different things said about him throughout his entire career. So I think he just goes back and plays his best football. And he's already come out and said that, you know, his sole focus this year is to go out there and play his best football and try and win the competition for Manly.
Cam, how hard would it be, though, if you feel like there is someone either attached to your club or within your club campaigning against you to make your reputation, you know, like if they are, this is having an effect on Daly's reputation. No matter how well he speaks, it's still affecting his reputation.
Yeah, well, it's a fair point that you make, Danny. And look, it'd be extremely hurtful. It'd be extremely disappointing, given what Daly's, you know, sacrificed and given to the Manly Football Club for a long, long time. As I said, he's played well over 300 matches. I think if you look at the reception that he got on the weekend, right? So there's a bit of, you know, sort of speculation on how the Manly fans were going to receive him on the weekend when he ran out. They were standing ovations. You know, like they were cheering his name. They all clapped. So that shows there that, you know, the Manly faithful, the people that pay their hard-earned money to go and watch and support their players, they're right behind Daly's decision. Would they love him to be playing for their club next year if he chooses to play on? Of course they would. And I'm sure deep down that Daly would have preferred to finish his career at Manly. He may still finish his career at Manly. We don't know. But in my mind, I think if he was going to finish up, that's the message we would have got last week, is that he would have told the club that this is going to be his last season and they'd celebrate that. But he didn't. He chose to tell them that he won't be playing for them next year. So that's why I think he'll play on.
Gus, you've been around for forever and a day. You know,
Thanks, Danny.
the fact that there was no offer until after the show. You know, now that he thinks there's a smear campaign, and I agree with him, there is being run in the media. How does he cope with that? Can you focus a player after that?
Yeah, I think a number of people were caught short last Monday night with the announcement. I think it came as a shock to many people, including people in Manly. Although Daly Cherry-Evans on this show last week said he informed Manly as early as last December that this would have been his last year at the club. And he said here that naively I thought I could get through the whole season without having to address this again. And I said, well, that's not the way the media works. They're going to keep asking about your contract until they get an answer about it. But the fact that it was sort of scooped on Channel 9 News last week by you, and then he came on the show here and spoke so eloquently about his situation. I think it caught sections of the media unaware, and I think it caught the club unaware, and I think the initial reaction was damage control. And now that's gone into crisis management, and I think at the moment Manly need to get this out of the news as quickly as possible. So far as the effect it'll have on the club, over the years we've seen things like this that can destabilise a club. It can also, in a best case scenario, galvanise the player group and galvanise the fans. And at first look, that's what looked like happened on Sunday at Brookvale. The fans are right behind him. The players played really well. Cherry-Evans, as professionally, can put it behind him. I think football-wise they can get it done. But so far as damage control and crisis management at the moment, I think the Manly Club needs to get this out of the media. They need to stop playing the media game and let the media go through their damage control as well, or whatever they're trying to create. Because at the moment, it's now become a circus. All right? When Daly just wanted to put everyone out of their misery, this is what I'm doing, and get on with his life, I think he's underestimated the effect that would have on people. They just need to swallow hard and say, OK, we've lost this one, we need to move on and get on with our lives. And so does Daly Cherry-Evans. And the sooner they all do that, the better it's going to be. But whilst ever everyone tries to gain points or win points or try to change the narrative, they're going to keep running into problems because Daly Cherry-Evans has shown just how honest and how strong he is, and I think they're taking on an immovable object.
A couple of you here, Zac. What worried you the most when you were making your call to go to the Eels? Fan reaction, teammates' reaction, anything else?
Mate, to be fair, probably my teammates. I guess I was a junior there at the Dragons, obviously coming from Temora, but I moved down there at a young age. And I think my teammates, I just built such a good bond over the years there, and I think that was the hardest thing, was probably telling them. But as I said, but the knock on Ches and I guess his personality, mate, I mean, and how he goes about his ways. I mean, I've been lucky enough to be able to spend a bit of time with Ches and through some camps, and mate, he's been one of probably the best leader that I've been around, both on and off the field. I mean, I'm real close mates with Benny Hunt, and they're super tight as well. So I've got to know Ches a fair bit over the years, and mate, I've learned so much from him. And I think the best thing that I've learned is how he is as a person with Ches, and that's what I admire the most about him. But I don't think it's going to affect his footy in any way.
Yeah, I'm interested in Zac's insight, but by the same token, the two scenarios are completely different. Like Daly Cherry-Evans is 36 years of age. He's at the back end of his career. He hasn't got a contract going forward. Zac's was a completely different situation at his stage of his career. He had years still left at the Dragons. It was a big decision to do. There are some similarities, but this is rather massive. I mean, salary cap management and managing your club and managing your roster, we all go through that part of the relationship with a player when he's at the back end of his career and you're managing which year he should retire. And with some players, if you leave it up to them, they'll never retire. They'll keep turning up and bringing their boots with them, and you've actually got to tell them and shove them out the door. That's very, very difficult at times, particularly if they're fan favourites or what have you. So it was always going to be difficult when Daly Cherry-Evans made the announcement that he wasn't going to be there. Daly has done it in this way, and it's just caused a shock amongst the club, the fans and the media that I think are now creating the problem. I don't think Daly's creating the problem at all. He's very succinct about where he's going and what he's doing. Yep. At the end of the year, he's going to make a decision. He's going to wait until he can make that decision honestly, and he'll have plenty of options when he gets there. So I think the media and the Manly Club need to tone it down.
Dylan Brown's leaving at the end of this year. Mitch Moses, DCE, quite a halves combo in the blue and gold, Zac.
Oh, no. Yeah, it's a tough one.
Welcome to 100% footy.
Dogs?
Hey?
Dogs. Dogs, yes, quick to fit it to the top.
You'll have to take a pay cut, Zac, if he goes there.
Oh, brilliant. Yep, watch this space. We're going to talk about Zac in just a moment. DCE, he can kick back and relax now after the break. Our star in the spotlight tonight. Zac Lomax moves from the Dragons to the Eels. They're chasing win number 1. We'll get the wash-up from that loss to Manly yesterday, and where to now for Jason Rolls' team. Back in just a moment. You're watching 100%. We're live on 9. Welcome back to 100%. The boxes are coming thick and fast for this man, and he is ticking them off at pace. Our star in the spotlight on this Monday night is Parramatta Eel, Zac Lomax. Time to talk a bit more about you, but Zac, before we do, Paul Gallen is on the set for the very first time tonight.
G'day, guys.
Hello, Gal.
How are you?
Sorry to disturb you, mate, because
That's fine.
we know you've been very, very busy offset, watching your favourite show with Gus and the gang. Yeah, mate.
We're all into it. I love people that, you know how many people come in and say, oh, did you watch Maths? Say, yeah, they say, mate, hate it, can't stand it. But they sit there and watch it with me.
Yeah.
3.5 million people watch it. We're all into it.
Let's get into the Zac Lomax that's here for us tonight. Parramatta Eels. You're 0-4 to start the year. Tell us how you're feeling about the current state of the club. Obviously, fresh off a loss to Manly at Brookie.
Yeah, Brace. Obviously, it's disappointing, especially coming off the back of the pre-season. And there's obviously a whole heap of fresh faces. Obviously, coaching staff, a lot of players. A lot of players have left as well, mate. So it's we're definitely building there, mate. It's disappointing, obviously, going 0-4, but I think our effort's been there. But yeah, it was disappointing on the weekend, mate.
So I'm going to ask you how the coach is going. He's come from a pretty successful system. He sort of walked into a club with a few issues as far as player contracts goes. That has been resolved now. But how's he holding up after 4 straight losses?
Yeah, mate, Rolsey's been really good. He's been super refreshing, and I think the way that his best attribute is he wants to know the person first, and he knows how to get the best out in players. Obviously, mate, the results haven't showed over the first 4 weeks, but it was probably the first time he'd sort of showed a little bit more emotion after the game on the weekend. He was a little bit disappointed, but Rolsey's been really good, mate, and obviously he's been in a lot of successful systems, and it's new to all of us, but he's been really good.
Zac, Zac, I was just going to ask you a little bit about Rolsey and what his feedback has been, particularly after the 4th loss. He's running last at the moment. For and against, not great. I think it's about 32 points you're averaging against at the moment. And knowing Rolsey, he's very heavily defensive-minded when it comes to football. Is that what he wants you to focus on in the next, say, fortnight in particular?
Yeah, absolutely. Obviously, he's super focused on his defence, and as results have shown, mate, we haven't had too much success with our defence, and obviously it's been a completely new system that we've bought into. There's been a whole heap of new faces as well. So for us, it's just about getting those finer details and getting our combinations. Obviously, we've got a few players out as well, mate, but. For us, we just got to get the job done as well. It's obviously this week we got the Dragons, so it's going to be a good test. We're back at home, and mate, we need to get a win for sure.
Mate, the way they're making you feel like it's all doom and gloom. It's not doom and gloom. Like you haven't had Mitchell Moses for the first month. Melbourne didn't have Jerome Hughes on the weekend, got beaten. Panthers didn't have Ethan Cleary and got beaten. The halfback is so important. Mitchell Moses comes back into that side. I've seen enough positive signs to say things could turn around really quickly. You must have been disappointed that he's injured and not playing. That's one of the reasons you would have gone there.
Yeah, for sure. It was a massive reason why I signed there, and obviously knowing Mitchie, I was grateful to be able to play a fair bit of footy with him through the rep period last year. But yeah, it was definitely disappointing when he went down just before round 1. But I'm not exactly sure when he's going to be back. It's obviously been a big hole for us that we've had to fill, but mate, we just got to sort of get as many wins as we can before he gets back, and he's going to be a massive boost for us when we get him back.
You must feel like the effort there is getting better though. Like once the team starts to gel a little bit more in the connectivity, the hard lessons or the hard defeats you're having now will steal this group going later on when Mitchell comes back, I'm sure.
Yeah, absolutely, and that's what we're sort of looking at. We're learning, and I guess we're learning the hard way. We haven't had any success as yet, but I think our effort's been there. It's just about icing those little those opportunities that we get, and just some attacking opportunities that we've been getting. We haven't been able to execute under the sort of pressure that we've been given. But well, yeah, as I said, we just need to be able to fix them, and mate, it's a good opportunity for us this week, but we've just got to get it done.
What position are you playing? You're all over the field. You're everywhere. Wherever we kick it, wherever they pass it, wherever they run it, you want to do everything. What position are you playing?
Yeah, it's a good question. But mate, just sort of wherever I can get my hands on the ball at the moment. And mate, I've been playing a bit of wing, bit of bit of wing, bit of centre, and just trying to get my hands on the ball as much as I can. And mate, for me, I don't sort of care wherever it is I'm playing, and mate, it's sort of always been that way. Just as long as I can get my hands on the ball wherever it is and competing wherever I can, that's all, mate. We just got to get a win. That's the big short of it.
Zach, you mentioned rep footy before with Mitch Moses. You had your first taste of it last year. Your form this year has been absolutely outstanding. Have you got one eye on it? I know your main focus is Parramatta, but you must have one eye on the rep period coming up in 6 or 7 weeks. Yeah,
absolutely, Gal. Like, I mean, I'd be lying to you if I told you I wasn't thinking about it, because at the start of every year, you know, that's the goal that I set. You know, I want to play Origin. You know what it's like. You've played it a number of occasions now, and there's nothing like Origin footy. And I set my goal. I set my eyes on that goal at the start of the year. And for me, mate, I want to be able to be the best teammate that I can at the Eels. And for us, to put myself back in that situation, to put on the jersey again, it's it's just come with wins at club footy, and I just got to build my games there week in, week out. And but yeah, absolutely, mate, I want to be able to pull that jersey on again for sure.
Hey, Zach, you just spoke about that rep footy, and that's still a couple of months away. What about the next task? You're taking on the old club, the Dragons. How are you feeling about that?
Taking on the Dragons this week.
Dragons this week. Oh. Big game.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Yeah, I've spoke to a few of the boys already, so they've given me the inside gossip of what's going on down there. So funny.
Target on the back.
How much banter is there?
Mate, all the time. Like, I'm real good mates with the boys there, and that's the thing that I miss the most about them is the camaraderie of the boys there. They're absolute legends there, and you know, Blake Laurie's my best mate back there, and I'm super close with all the boys. Like, I'm super close with them and love them, and but you know, for us, I just want to make sure that we get a win this week, and you know, that starts tomorrow. We're back in at training tomorrow, but I'm sure I'm going to have a Funno's going to have the boys ready to come after me.
Surely Parramatta's got something in store for Gutho.
And yeah, well, that's the thing too. So it's gonna be vice versa. So it's both teams are going to be up for it. That's for sure.
Ripper, can't wait, mate. Hey, great to have you in. All the best for the rest of the season, mate. It's a long year, another 23 rounds still to go, and as Gus says, upwards and onwards.
Thanks, boys. Thank you.
Good to have you here, Zac Lomax, out-and-out superstar of the NRL. Stay with us. Plenty more still to come here. 100% footy. You're watching it live and free right here on 9. What about some of the upsets from the round that was? The Bunnies, they got a bit of bite about them, knocking off the Premiers. The Dragons, yes, against the Storm at Cogra. And Dog. What about Dog? 4 from 4 in 2025. So much to get through. Stay with us. We're back right after this.
I always get depressed when I hear that music.
So do I.
Is it the end? Are you trying to tell me something?
It's very morbid, particularly when we just cut straight to you.
I mightn't have long left. How many good summers have I got left?
Well, mate, you're having a pretty good autumn / back into the summer, aren't you?
Yeah, long way to go, baby.
Good father and the goat. Let's get into it. What's been the success? The secret to this success, to be on top of the ladder, the only team to be without a loss in 2025, Gus?
Yeah, I mean, it's been a great start to the season, and it shows how hard they worked during the off-season, even given particularly the injuries that we've had as well. It's shown that we've got good depth in the club. We've debuted a couple of players, and players have had to shuffle around positions a little bit. It comes down to the great culture in the club created by the coaching staff and how hard the players have been working, and I think that's evident now. I think when you watch the Bulldogs play, you can see that they're a hard-working team, and they're very connected. And it was a big challenge for them the other night because, you know, the Sharks have had the wood over them over the last few years, and Sharks were a genuine top 4 side, and they were playing them down at the Bermuda Triangle. It was a big challenge, and they took it on. They got themselves ready and put in a really good performance. But, you know, that's still a long way to go. We're only a month into the competition.
What happened on Saturday night, Gal?
Oh, to be honest, I thought it was a really good game of footy. I thought the first half was an excellent, high-quality game. I thought the Dogs got a fair bit of confidence just before half-time. They scored a try just before half-time, then had one disallowed, actually, which probably could have gone either way, but I thought fair enough call was disallowed. But then the second half, they came out, and to be fair, they beat the Sharkies up. And I think that's what the Dogs do. They have a really high completion rate. They, as I said, complete well, and then they just rip in defensively. And that's what they did the other night. And I thought the Sharkies probably failed to realise it was that sort of game. They try to probably finesse their way through a few things. They have a crack an early 40-20, which if it comes off, you look like a hero, but if it doesn't, You know, your kick chase isn't quite there. I thought a couple of chip and chases they tried. Rather than just really getting into the grind, getting through your 5 tackles, kicking along and looking for them to make an error, they sort of try to finesse their way out of it and come up with too many errors. And, yeah, obviously the Dogs were too good the other night. They really, really deserved their victory. And they're a better side than I thought, the Dogs. They've obviously had a really good pre-season. I actually was at Cameron Serrato's 40th and I actually doubted whether they could make the 8. They're undefeated, so I think they'll be in the 8. I might have been wrong there, Cameron, so I apologise.
To the other Cameron, we're four games in for this team. Beating the Dragons, beating the Gold Coast, beating Parramatta, now Cronulla. Is it too early to be calling premiership credentials here? Have they got enough there from what you've seen so far to be able to push real deep, Cam?
Oh, probably a little bit too early, Brace. I'd like to see them, go a little bit deeper into the competition. But, we all seen what the Dogs were able to do last year. They were pushing for that top 4 position. They sort of got a little bit tired, a little bit weary towards the back end of the year. But I remember speaking on the Sunday Footy show, very first round of this year, and I had the Dogs as my smoky to take out the competition. I really love the way that they play their footy, the brand of footy that they play, and it's probably touching on a little bit of what Gus said and what Gow said. It's quite simple the way they play their game, but it's all through hard work and effort. And, they hold onto the footy. They have a high completion rate throughout the 4 games that they've played. They make their tackles. They work hard for one another, particularly on the try line. And it's the resilience and that commitment that they show to their defence is the reason why they're undefeated. So if they can keep up that standard for the entire match, for the entire season, then they'll well and truly be in the hunt for a premiership. Do they have the players there at the moment to win it? Well, people are still looking at Melbourne, Penrith if they get it right. They're the 2 sides, and you throw the Broncos in there as well. But this footy side, it is a serious rugby league team.
I agree, but that's probably my question mark to me, the names. They don't have the names, so to speak, but God, they work hard for each other. And if you ever want a team to do one thing, is work hard for each other. Guys like Josh Curran, Jacob Preston has been absolutely outstanding. Their front row's been great. Again, they probably don't have the names that these other sides have, but they work so hard.
All right, the other issue on the agenda there, the Bunny Boil over, taking us back to Thursday night at Accor Stadium. And Gus, they're 3 wins, 1 loss now, sitting in 7th South, and now going in as favourites when they take on the old foe, the Roosters, in Friday night footy. And Latrell will be back.
Yeah, absolutely. I was watching a show or reading a book the other day, and an old soldier come in and someone said, "You're a bit old, aren't you?" He said, "You've got to be aware of old soldiers because they're old for a reason." It's the same with coaches. You've got to be wary of old coaches. They're old for a reason. They've stood the test of time. And he just keeps producing the old coach, doesn't he? He gets them ready. It's Bennett football. He just takes it wherever he goes. He tucks it under his wing, goes to the next club. They play Bennett football. They're all enthusiastic. They're all playing for each other. And they play simple. They control the ball. When they get into attacking positions, their playmakers do the job, and everyone runs hard and tackles hard. And they've really turned last year around. In the first month of football's been really good for them, and this was a big scalp. Having said that, Penrith were under strength and played poorly, and but you can only play as good as your opposition let you, and South Sydney just didn't let them into that first half at all.
They're beating the Roosters on Friday, Cam?
Yeah, I reckon they're a real big chance, to be honest. I'm just loving the way, as Gus just said, I just love the enthusiasm that all their players are playing with at the moment. There's a couple of young guys that have been given a bit of an opportunity this year by Wayne, and they're making the most of the opportunity that they've been given. So I've been really impressed. Again, 3-1. It's a great start for their season. And it doesn't get much bigger than this in our game, does it? The old rivals in the Bunnies and the Roosters. So the Book of Feuds. I wonder if Wayne's got the Book of Feuds out this week.
I think tomorrow night Latrell Mitchell's going to get named. We saw him out at the football the other night, and he said he's ready to go. And they've been doing all this without their number one, their marquee player.
And the fullback at the moment, young fullback, he's leading the Daly M.
Yeah.
And to be fair, Latrell's going to go back in the side. Look, Latrell can't do what Jai Gray can do, but he can't do what Latrell can do. But
right at the moment, Souths have got real enthusiasm and real positive energy. It's hard to say that about the Roosters at the moment. The Roosters are struggling a little bit, and they've been a little bit up and down. They had a good win when they threw all the kids in, and all the other blokes came back, and they've had another couple of losses. Like, for energy and enthusiasm and maybe a little bit of self-belief and Latrell coming back, Souths have got all the momentum. Roosters have got to turn it around a little bit to beat them this week.
Gus, what would you do with Latrell? Would you throw him in to fullback, or would you put him in the centres? Like, Jai Gray is going outstanding at the moment.
Yeah, he is. Latrell would be playing fullback. I think Jai Gray goes back onto the bench at 14. I think you can inject him into the game at any time. And even when you do that, if you ejected him at fullback, there's going to be a period probably where Latrell needs a spell to go up into the centres for a while and just have a bit of spell up there rather than running the ball back all the time. But Latrell's the marquee player. Latrell, he influences the scoreboard. He influences the results. And, you know, it'll be great to have him back in the game because we need our superstar players playing the game. But I think for South Sydney, they know they've got Jai Gray there to do it. And Jai Gray off the bench, if I was coaching against them, all I'd be doing is watching the bench for that little white headgear to come off the bench with a card and say, well, where's he going to be? What's he going to do? Look, here he comes. You know, Walker's on, Walker's on.
Yeah, Walker's on. One of the greats. Cam, Saturday afternoon, I snuck in a Cogra for a bit of afternoon viewing, was expecting your old team to put them to the sword and was anything but. What happened?
Yeah, well, I guess... I think Jerome Hughes not being there, I think that really made things a fair bit more difficult for the Storm. They're a different side when Jerome Hughes is playing in, and that's not taking anything away from Tyron Wishart playing in the number 7. He went out there and worked really hard. He spent very little time playing or preparing in that position, as Craig Bellamy said in his post-match press conference. But you know what? I just think they were out enthused, really, for the entire 80 minutes by this Dragons side. They were put under the pump. And they were asked the question by the Melbourne Storm. Melbourne Storm had plenty of play the balls inside 20, so they had a lot of opportunities to score points, but they couldn't find them, even with Munster, Pappenhausen, and Grant steering that ship around. So, look, the Dragons, it was a mighty effort by them to get the win on the weekend, and they've sort of half become a bit of a bogey side for Melbourne. You know, they went down to Amy Park last year and knocked them off. I think it was like end of July, maybe start of August. So, yeah. Half a bogey team for them.
Yeah, you're right.
This minute.
They made more line breaks than the Dragons also. But one part of the game I reckon Craig Bellamy pretty disappointed is just the basic fundamentals of the game. A part of the game where the Melbourne Storm are normally so good at it, squeaky clean, high completion rate, that really let them down on the weekend.
Yeah, well, Gally, you're exactly right, mate. And it was a pretty sort of ordinary conditions. You know, it was wet and pretty greasy, as a lot of the games were across the weekend with the weather around at the moment. But Craig Bellamy actually spoke about that, and the Dragons sort of handled the conditions a lot better. But in saying that, mate, like they play and prepare. They train and prepare in Melbourne, and it rains sort of every second day down there. So it's sort of hard to use the rain as an excuse. So they just need to be better, pretty much. It's very black and white for me that they need to go out there and just be better in a lot of parts of their game.
Battle of Brookie coming up for them too, Gus, if ever there was a bounce-back opportunity. This is a big one, and no Turbo in the opposing team.
Yeah, well, I think Turbo's a big loss for the Manly Sea Eagles as well. You know, it's interesting for the Melbourne Storm because they go through this competition and they win a lot of their games just on sheer effort and discipline and controlling the game and playing their style of football, and they just sort of overwhelm sides because they're in it for the 80 minutes. But on the weekend, without Jerome Hughes, they couldn't get into the rhythm of their normal kick and chase game. They missed his creativity. Asafa Solomona didn't play. You know, Nick Meaney didn't play. They'd had some injuries from the previous week. It was a wet day. St George were coming off the bye. They'd sort of lost a couple in a row. It was the perfect recipe for an upset, and it kind of happened. Having said that, they probably created 3 times the amount of opportunities that St George did. They just didn't put them away. This will be different. You know, like, how many games of Brookvale have we had at Brookvale?
Yeah, they play heaps. 7 of their first 10 or something.
Fair dinkum.
Thank God Turbo. I mean, I know he's out injured and we never want to see Blakes get hurt and injured, but look, on a positive, it's not his hamstring. I know he's still going to be out for 3 or 4 weeks, but
that doesn't look too good.
I know it's not good. I know,
doesn't know which leg
imagine the poor bloke done his hamstring again. Like he'd be near it'd just be horrendous.
He doesn't know which leg to limp on there. He's limping on both legs.
What did you say about the old soldier before? I mean, he couldn't look more wounded if he tried, poor old Turbo.
They just need to get him 100% right and back into it. I think Daly Cherry-Evans can carry him through to that time. And they've got plenty of players playing well there. That'll be a real test for both sides, I reckon. That's no Turbo, and Melbourne, you know, just a little bit out of sorts at the moment. They kind of played the first game, won by 50, then had a bye. It's got to be a bit up and down now. They, you know, yeah.
I love
it's a difficult one.
I love watching you working out your tip live on air. Just sort of
hey, don't worry, he doesn't tip him. He goes each way bet. It's an each way bet. There's always they should win the Melbourne Storm, but I'll tell you what, that other mob, if they and end of the game they win, I told you what would happen.
Has he worked you out, Gus?
I've worked him out. I'm the only one who has worked him out. Everyone else still believes what he says.
Yeah. He's usually right though.
Yeah, of course he is. As I said, he's got an each way bet. He can't lose.
Wait a minute. This is supposed to be the GOAT and the Goldfather. How do you even get a say?
I just weasel my way in here.
How do you get a look
in here?
You're like a third wheel.
That's right. just spitting facts, that's all.
Oh, the only thing they see eye to eye on is maths, and they love it. Stay with us. Scuttlebutt Central. We're throwing the cat amongst the pigeons as Denny returns to the set in just a moment. Righto, you two. Back in a bit.
You got to speak for us, Gus. You know something. I might be wrong. Why was this wrong? Well, he can't even done the dogs then if you're dealing in facts.
Don't stop me.
Scuttlebutt Central is what you're watching here on 100% live.
Haven't we had enough scuttlebutt for 1 week?
Nope. We need some more.
Is he back again?
Let's spread it around. Hey, Danny.
Hello, James again.
Ready to
Hello,
go?
Gus.
Daniel.
He's fighting with everyone tonight.
I know.
I didn't say bye to Cam.
Oh.
He's gone. Bye, Cameron. Sorry. I forgot he departed after that segment. Now, Lockie Galvin. He's top of your list in Scuttlebutt tonight.
Yep. Everybody wants to know what the Tigers are going to do about Lockie Galvin.
Mm-hmm.
The info I'm getting, look, it's hard to get info out of the Tigers at the moment, James, but the info I'm getting is it's most likely to be a 5-year offer and around the $5 million mark. So we're going straight to the 7 figures for Lockie Galvin. So the Tigers aren't going to muck around. They're not going to confirm this, obviously, but that's what I'm hearing. One club who won't have a crack at Lockie Galvin is the Roosters.
Right.
I think the Tigers have been made aware of that. And I guess it's in part to do with the manager, Isaac Moses. The Roosters refused to deal with him. And Lockie Galvin's manager is Isaac Moses. So
hasn't Lachlan Galvin told the Tigers he'd be going on the open market? Haven't they informed?
Hasn't been informed yet. So we're all waiting. And the Tigers are going to get a good crack at him, and they're going to make that crack pretty soon, I
So that's got to be by November 1 this year.
Correct.
Yep.
And I think that they're going to say, this is our best offer.
Yep.
What do you think?
Okay.
And I think that's not a bad way to do it, actually,
Yep.
for such a hot property. And I guess they have to go with their biggest offer as well.
5 years, 5 mil, Gus?
Around that.
It's way too early to be talking about Lockie Galvin. He's not off contract till the end of next year. Why do media start driving things 18 months earlier?
Scuttlebutt.
You know, he needs to stay at the Tigers. The Tigers need to come up with something and keep him there. But
Is that good money, that sort of offer?
Oh, it's brilliant money. It puts a lot of pressure and a lot of scrutiny on him. He probably shouldn't be on that money at that age. There's no reason to do that to a young kid. But
how do you stop it,
neither
Gus?
the media nor the club are going to let that happen. Neither his manager are going to let that happen. They're not going to allow him to come through the system as he should. There's too much scrutiny and too much. Money comes with responsibilities and obligations and expectations, and you want to thrust it on a kid that young? Go and ask all the great playmakers. They didn't want it at that age. It's just me, but. I hope he stays at the West Tigers. I really do. It would be a tragedy for them to lose that player.
Let's hope he stays focused on his footy while this is unfolding. A big memo going out to all the clubs today, Danny.
Yeah, the NRL, and good on them for doing this. They've basically said they've stuffed up and that they should have been a bit harder on, the referee should have been harder on head contact, and now players are going to get sin bin again. Now, Gal, I know you were noticing this, that players hadn't been sin bin for this.
The first few weeks, the first 4 weeks, this has been
we saw
really
it all last year, didn't
this has been really obvious to me the first few weeks of the competition that they have not been sin binning players for foul contact. Last year they don't want any high contact at the head or hip drops in particular. Now we've seen them every single week, and there has been players sent to the sin bin. There's been players sent to the sin bin for repeated infringements a lot. There's actually been the same amount of players sin bin 4 rounds into this year as there was last year, but obviously more have been sent to the sin bin for repeated infringements, not so much foul play, but they're going back to sending players to the sin bin for foul play. It's a hard one for me. I actually don't mind the way they've been reffing it. I feel that if someone does hit someone high and they have to go for a HIA, maybe that's a sin binable offence, but some of them, all of them are accidental. It's such a big thing for a team to get a player sent to the sin bin. It's such a big disadvantage.
Gus, we saw one of your players in that video compile there, Reid Marnie on Atkinson. I mean, are you concerned by that, or were you happy with the way? I mean, he's been criticised for it. What do you think?
Well, I think Reid Marnie is one of the most courageous and committed footballers that I've ever seen. He gets targeted by opposition coaches, opposition players, opposition fans, media, all trying to encourage the referees to target him. He gets through more in 80 minutes of football every week of the year than any player in the game. He's a really competitive individual. If you're going to be in the game like that, every now and then you're going to sail close to the win. He's worked really hard on his discipline. He doesn't want to let his team down. But by the same token, we're playing professional rugby league. We're playing for keeps. He's a competitive little bugger, and he's such a courageous kid, and I'm glad he's a Bulldog. I wouldn't swap him for anyone else at the moment, so the media can say what they like. And if the referees start targeting him, we're going to want to know why.
One other thing quickly, Gus. There was something happened with Satilli when he got sin bin. Andrew Fafita came in contact with him. I couldn't get out what exactly happened. Have you had any intel?
Talk about a story about nothing. What had happened was Satilli Tupanua got sent from the sin bin after full time.
Yep.
He sort of walked from the field, the clock was done, the hooter had gone. As he's walking off, his Tongan teammate Andrew Fafita grabbed him and said, "Hey, you don't have to go to the dressing room, the game's over. You can go back out and celebrate with your mates." Someone saw them talking in the tunnel and figured that they were having words, or Andrew Fafita was doing him up. They're mates. They've been talking together. He said, "Get back out on the field. You don't have to go to the dressing room." Now, I would figure Andrew Fafita knows something about getting sent to the sin bin. He knew the protocol. Poor old Satilli didn't know, so he was just helping his Tongan teammate out to get back on the field.
I love it.
Celebrate
the win.
He hates Scuttlebutt and he talks a lot of it, doesn't he?
Well, you keep including me.
Yeah, well, you're the centre.
I'm not in Scuttlebutt.
If there's Scuttlebutt here, Gus is close by. Stay with us. Our top three right after this short break. Welcome back. Our tab top three out of your seat moments from the round. It was Jake Clifford.
I don't like Jake Clifford. I think he's a great player. He missed the first start of the season. He actually had a hernia, a stomach operation, I think, earlier in the year. That's why he missed the first few games, but he's in some form. This is a good try. Watch this. Jumps up over the top of the fullback. He played well. He's a good player.
Turbo did that in Origin once, didn't he, over in Perth? Yep. Brings back memories of that. All right, moving on to our number two, the Titans intercept, and Jaden Campbell, crikey. This one pretty much full field. Brilliant to watch when he's in full flight, Gus.
Yeah, massive turning point. You know, and I heard Trent Robinson say after the game, the Roosters led 12-8 here, and they weren't happy just to win 12-8. And it opened up the way for Jaden Sullivan to get this intercept. And from there, it was all one-way traffic. The talent of the Titans took over, and they won 30-12. But, you know, he's an instinctive little player, this fella. He's very, very quick, and that was the turning point in the match.
Certainly was. And our number one, the moment that got you out of your seat, thanks to Tab over the weekend. This one, Friday night in the wet. Selwyn Cobbo, despite the foot. Oh no, this one was all right. I thought it was going to be the.
It was a 35-metre pass, almost. Harbour Bridge pass.
Gus.
Imagine the coach.
Gus.
What would you have done as coach, Gus?
Yeah, that'll bring the crowds back. That'll bring the crowds back.
Look at the Harbour Bridge. Look at it.
Funny game.
The Story Bridge. What is it up there? The Story Bridge?
Story Bridge. Yep. We couldn't believe it.
Imagine Reece Small seeing that coming. Oh my God, someone's going to break my ribs.
Well, as it's on its way, he's saying they reckon I'm reckless. Have a look at
this. Well said, Gus. On that note, stay with us. We're back to wrap things up. 100% footy right after this break. Well, regular viewers of Wide World of Sports would see me talking about this great organisation quite often. JDRF, Juvenile Diabetes Research Foundation. Last year we took over Parliament House in Canberra for Kids in the House. They are an amazing organisation, a global one, and they have had a name change. And they are now Breakthrough T1D, trying to find that cure. Of course, my little Tilly was diagnosed at 2, and type 1 diabetes can hit anyone at any time. It is life-changing, not only for those involved that have it, but those around them as well. So Breakthrough T1D, the brand new name. So if you see it out there, that is the old JDRF, and they are doing great things, and we are going to find a cure. But thank you very much for letting me do the little shout out to my team. I look terrible in a hat, but it's worth doing, trust me. And a shout out to my Tilly and all the team at Breakthrough T1D. Now, while we're here to wrap things up on 100% footy, the 3 games this weekend, live and free on 9. Gal, who you got?
I'm going to go Sharkies, South, and I'll go Manly.
Danny?
You don't care what I think. I'll go Raiders, Rabbits, Storm.
Gus?
Shark, Rooster, and I don't know.
On the fence, there he is.
Who did Gal go?
And we're on Tuesday next week here at 100% footy.
I'll go Storm.
See you later. Bye-bye.